right, we're about to hit 100 kilometers. Oh, come on, pick a lane. This guy wants to use both lanes. Hey, they got a sign for a toll. That's nice. So now I know to get over on the left side. Because motorcycles, most of the places, I'd say 99% of the places, do not pay tolls. Now there are express highways that are special paid highways. You have to pay toll, but this is the government tolls, right? And we just hit, let's see, I think we're gonna hit 100 miles right here. Because I'm not from here, I don't know how this works. वैसा जाने का क्या? All right, we just hit 100. Alright, I just took a short break to stretch my leg. Alright, so now I'm going to find a tea stall somewhere. Halfway decent. I mean, as much as I want to stop at some of these shacks, that's probably not the best idea in the world. I just have to remind myself not to play my music too loud in my ear, because I need to hear the horns and just general traffic around me, which is not an issue in the US because nobody uses horns. So this is apparently a National Highway 48. I just noticed that on my GPS. I've been riding for over 100 kilometers and just noticed it. So let's do a quick 100-mile, 100-kilometer review. I think this is an awesome Alright, let's do a 100-kilometer review. So what do I think? First of all, the bike is designed for Indian market. It is perfectly designed for Indian market. For the price, it is a good deal, because if you look at this bike and try to compare it with something similar, which is unfortunately nothing similar exists in the market to compare CC to CC or configuration to configuration. So when you look at this bike, on an Indian road, riding on an Indian road with the configuration it comes in, it's perfect. I'd rather be riding this bike than a GS 800, which is, once again, much heavier. It's not a comparison because GS has 48 horsepower, 800. This one's got half as much, 22 and a half. GS, you know, tire configurations are similar. From my perspective, this is the bike for Indian market. Why? In the ride so far I've gone, there are tons of different shops on the side. Anybody with a tire iron and a small compressor or even a foot pump can change a tube, a flat tube. They can repair the tube. Anybody with a hammer and a little bit of skill can fix this bike. All the parts are available. I bet there's a showroom or another a dealer or just a auto parts store that has parts, right? Tires are readily available at a very, very ridiculous, reasonable price. So when you look at this bike, your ability to maintain it in a very difficult seasonal climate is perfect. Yes, it's going to collect rust. Guess what? Labor is cheap. Somebody will sand it down, paint it. Bike has got, or you buy a new part, right? You don't need to worry about the quality of petrol. This engine is one of those, you know, single-cylinder engines that are just well designed for the climate. It's not a European climate. It's not a U.S. climate. So when you consider the cost of the original cost of the bike, you consider the maintenance cost of the bike, and then you consider the ability to go places without having spending money on a Kawasaki, on a Triumph 800, you know, on a BMW GS, Harley Davidson. This thing is worth its weight in gold, period. I call this a disposable bike. I will not cry if I'm in an accident and I total it. I will not cry if somebody steals it. I don't need to go more than 110, 115 kilometers an hour, because these roads in India, here's an example of somebody just pulling with no regards, right? No regards to the other people. And if you're going 110, 130, 140, 150, which is the roads are not designed for, and people who drive these roads are not know how to do this. So I'd rather not be in a bike that goes 190 kilometers an hour, because I'm guaranteed with the weight of the bike, the power of the bike, to get in an accident either out of my fault or somebody else's fault. So the way I say it, doesn't matter whose fault it is. An accident is an accident is an accident. So if you lose a leg or you lose your life, it does not matter. Your loss is your loss. It's already done. You can't get that back. So my 5 cents, in India, ride this bike. Anybody will repair it. It's dirt cheap to fill up. It's dirt cheap to maintain it. And you know what? It is a fun little bike. I still call it little because it is little to me. When I compare this to a higher cc motorcycle, this is little to me. But for most Indian, you know, this is a tall bike. It's a big bike. It's a heavy bike. It's a powerful bike. because it does have a pretty decent response on the throttle. The brakes are ABS, you know, I mean, they could be better. You know, they can add more features, but I would buy this bike again and again. Why? Because it's designed for the roads. That's it. It's got a 21-inch tire. Come on. A bike that costs $3,200 in Indian money in Mumbai, out the door, with a 21-inch front tire. I mean, they're not tubeless, but then again, a lot of the Japanese and European manufacturers don't offer tubeless tires unless you buy a high-end motorcycles like the brand new version of Africa Twin, the 2020, or the new GS 1200. But then you're looking at spending $20,000 to $28,000 for a motorcycle. This motorcycle costs $3,200 US in Indian money in India, out the door. Oh, by the way, it comes with 5 years of insurance, full insurance, not a partial insurance. So we paid 5 years of prepaid insurance on this bike. So I mean, that included in $3,200. You can't beat that. I don't think you can. So that's my review on a Himalayan. I know a lot of people whine and complain about this and that, and you know what? You want to pay more money? You're welcome to pay some more money and get a better, bigger bike. And then you're not going to ride it. Why? Because you don't want to break it. You're not going to ride it because it's raining. I don't want it to be damaged. This bike, you ride 24/7, 365. If it's rust, you remove the rust. Have somebody paint it. Replace the part. Everything is cheap on this bike. Labor charges are ridiculously cheap on this bike. Try doing that at a BMW or Harley or Triumph shop. Oil is cheap, filter is cheap, everything's cheap on this bike. And the kicker is, you learn how to do this, you can do it yourself and save all of the labor costs. The bike has no plastic to remove. Battery is behind a plastic and a filter is behind a plastic. 3 bolts. You don't need anything fancy in terms of tools to do any maintenance. Major work, yes, you got to take it to a local mechanic, and you know, they will charge almost nothing. So I don't know where the complaint is from a people who ride this motorcycle. You always compare product to value. This product gives you value, no doubt. So those were all the riders back there having their snacks. I do need to stop. I would have stopped if I had noticed them earlier, but I'm having too much fun. I'm still not tired, surprisingly. Hour and a half so far. So it doesn't have a pickup, right? I mean, this thing does not have a pickup. So, you know, I'm in a lower gear. I'm punching it and I'm waiting for the bike to go. It doesn't want to go. And I don't think it's bike's fault. The engine is just 22 British horsepowers. I notice sometimes people drive slow. I wonder if they're trying to figure out if they can save gas by driving slow on a highway, which is ridiculous, right? Driving 20 miles an hour on a highway that people are going 70 or 80, 70, 60. Of course, driving slow saves gas, but not on the freeway. Come on. You know, I wonder if the roads are this easy, I may not get a hotel in Surat today. I'll still go straight to my dad's house in Anand. I'll just take a break in Surat. The thing is, I'm going to get there too early. I wanted to try some food. I wish this bike had a cruise control, seriously. I don't think you could really it's not practical to have it because I don't think it's really usable in this area. But when you want to release your right hand, with you should be able to do that. So, but cruise control ends up adding I know on the European and American bikes that I'm sure has to add $500 to the cost of the bike. Because all the electronics and gear required for it. So that goes up. Don't go away. What I'll do is I'll make a point every time I go to the hotel, get out early in the morning so I can get a couple hours of a non-sightseeing riding done.